Hi guys, my name is Nicolette Mashile. I'm also known as the Financial Bunny. Welcome to the Financial Bunny TV. Today we're talking all things property investing and using a home loan and asking the question, is the home loan actually a scam or not? Now remember that none of my videos constitute as financial advice. If you are looking for financial advice, please speak to somebody that is certified and registered with the FSCA. Let's talk a little bit about why property ownership for me personally is still a great investment. One, you are going to be investing into an asset, and it's an appreciating asset. So that on its own already tells you that this thing that you are actually buying is something that will eventually become an investment asset, depending, of course, on how you buy it and how you are going to be using it, right? That's very, very important. The second thing that makes property investing for me still a viable financial planning strategy is, again, because it is forced savings or investing. Why do I say that? Well, let's look at it this way. When you go to the bank and you want to borrow, for instance, 1.2 million rand to buy a 2-bedroom apartment, you are saying to the bank, right now, I do not have 1.2 million rand. However, I do have a wish to buy this property either for home ownership or for rental income purposes or whatever other reason you may have to be buying a property. The bank says to you, okay, sharp. You are somebody that we don't mind borrowing and going into partnership with so that you can actually get this house. Now, of course, nothing is free. This is the land of the living. So all of us need to pay at some point for whatever it is that we need, especially if we don't have that thing and we want it up front, right? So they then charge you what is called an interest. Now that interest actually is a risk mitigation strategy, basically, is to say, we've borrowed you 1.2 million rand. Now we're not going to sit here and say, okay, after 20 years, come back and tell us if you want to pay us back. So generally they say over the 20 years that we have borrowed you this money and this money is outstanding, you need to pay us back for a certain amount of money, right? So that's basically what the bank is saying. Now, I want to take you a couple of steps back, because if you look at platforms like Easy Equities, they've made what is called fractional investing possible, right? But what is fractional investing? So let's say, for instance, for argument's sake and for hypothetical reason, let's say the share price of a Capitec share is 3,000 rand. However, you cannot afford 3,000 rand right now. What Easy Equities says is, don't stress. You can still access the benefits of owning a Capitec share, even if you're not owning the whole thing, up until you are able to actually own the full thing. So over the months, you can contribute however amount of money up until it becomes 3,000 rand and you are able to purchase, or whatever the share price is on the day when you actually have enough money, right? But you are still getting the benefits of a Capitec share up until you actually own the full one. So it's almost similar with the house. The bank is saying, we want you to have access to the benefit of a 1.2 million rand house, right? We want you to be able to get a rental income for a property of 1.2 million rand. But while you are doing that, you do need to pay us back, because we are in essence actually borrowing you our money. We're putting our own money at risk. In case something actually goes wrong here, we may also need to now take the flak for whatever goes wrong, right? So that's the one thing that I think is very important. Now, the third thing that I always speak about is the fact that when I have conversations with a lot of people and I ask them, okay, have you started? They say to me, Nicolette, I want to invest. And I'm like, okay, cool. Have you started your investment journey? They're like, no, I haven't started my investment journey. And then I have a conversation with them about their loans and their debt registry. And as we're going through the debt registry, they'll say to me, oh, but I have a home loan. Then I say, but that is exactly what an investment is, because every single month when you are paying your monthly installment, you've got to see that as the bank forcing you to invest back into this asset that you've so you're actually subtracting. So you start off with the benefit of this 1.2 million rand house, but you don't actually have 1.2 million rand. So they've given it to you. So little by little, just like the Capitec share that you are paying to acquire, this way you're doing it the other way around. So you're not starting from 0, you're starting from 1.2, but you've got to subtract the amount of monies that you're actually owing the bank, right? So it's very important to look at it that way. But there was quite another interesting thing that I read on Business Tech, and I was looking at the future value of the price that you're going to pay today for the home versus what your home is actually going to be worth in the future. So let me not confuse you guys. Let me start it from the beginning. All right. So let's use an example that I found in a business tech. If you were to buy your home, right, today at 1.2 million rand, right, you will start your loan at 1.2 million rand. Now, it's very, very important to understand that when you are paying for a home loan, essentially there are two amounts that you're going to pay. The one amount that you're going to pay is the actual outstanding balance, which is what we call the principal amount. The second one is the interest that is going to be charged every single month on the outstanding balance, calculated by the interest rate that you are given by the bank or that you are offered as a rate on this specific loan. So the liability is calculated using that interest rate against the actual outstanding balance and of course the period that is left for you to pay, right? So those are the things that you've got to remember. And quite important also to remember, because this is a compounding loan, one of the most important things to remember is that for the first couple of years, a majority of your money is going to go to the interest portion. So what do I say? And I know it gets confusing for a lot of people, because when you open your bank statement or your home loan statement, you still see the outstanding balance as is. You don't see it plus the interest, because what they do is they calculate your interest every single day and then they charge it every single month. So if you look at your home loan statement, you will see that your debit order is there. Under the debit order, the charges that are there is your account management charge plus the interest that they've actually calculated for that month that you're going to pay that month, right? But remember also, every single month as you are paying, the portion that goes to the actual capital balance that you owe, or the actual principal amount that you owe, is going to start shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. So eventually, especially when you're like halfway through your home loan, if like 10 years, 20 years, 15 years, what you will start seeing is that the bigger portion of your installment will go to the actual principal amount and the smaller amount will start going to your interest rate, because that's how a home loan is actually structured. So with this example that I found on Business Tech, they're saying when you buy your house at 1.2 million rand, after 10 years of paying, you will owe the bank 750,000 rand. So you will still owe the bank 750,000 rand. However, because it's an investment asset and because it is an appreciating investment asset, it means that your house over 10 years would have grown in its value. Now, there are various ways in which you can calculate the valuation of your house. There's all sorts of calculations, and in the next video, I will try and get into those calculations. But they're saying that your house will be worth 1.86 million, provided that inflation stays at 4.5. Now, inflation is the rise or the increase of prices, right, of goods and services. So if it stays at 4.5, it means that the house you bought at 1.2 million rand valuation, right? Or actually not really valuation, because at 1.2 million rand, that's the price that you agreed to pay to the seller. It's not essentially the valuation of your house. But working with the sum, we assume that 1.2 was the value of the house when you bought it. Now, with the growth over 10 years, the house will be sitting at 1.86 million rand, right? After 15 years, you will still owe the bank 388. You see, there's a 5-year difference here. But there's a 10-year difference between when you owed 1.2 million rand. And that has got a slight shift. But here, you start to see a very big jump between 750 and 388. Remember, again, I said, as the loan gets more matured, what you will start to see is that the interest portion is going to actually decrease, and that now most of your debit order money is going to start going to the actual principal amount of money that you owe. Because essentially, for you to finish off a loan, there need not be an outstanding balance, right? So, okay, now this is where we are right now. Then after 20 years, you would have paid 1.2 million rand, which was the principal amount, and you would have paid 1,032,000 rand in interest, right? So we're saying that over 20 years, or this example rather on Business Tech says you would have paid 1.2 million rand as the principal amount, and your interest portion will come to 1,032,000 rand, 1,032,000 rand. Basically, that's what they're saying you would have paid. So in totality, you would have paid 2,232,000 rand, right? However, the value of your house, right, would be sitting at 2.76 million rand. That's the future value of your actual house, right? Based on inflation staying at around about 4%, and there's a gross increase a gross increase or a growth of 4.5% in terms of the property value or the property value expressed as a price for your actual home, right? So if you do the mathematics the other way around, what you will start to actually see is that at that growth, it means that the value of your house today with the 20-year value of 2.76 million is essentially actually 1.3 million rand. So you're actually getting a bargain at the bank. So if you want to increase what the money looks like, you need to decrease how much interest you are going to be paying over the years. But the beautiful thing, unlike a car, is that with a house, right, after 20 years of you being forced to invest into your own home, where for a 1.2 million rand house, you would have essentially paid 2.2 million with the interest portion, but the house is worth 2.76 million. And this is the part that people don't see. Yes, people will say, but it's not like you're not paying every single month, because remember, obviously, with the bank liability, there's also operational costs. So it's your maintenance over the 20 years. It's your city of Johannesburg or whichever municipality you are in. It's also the levies if you're in a sectional title or in a full title where there is shared and common property where a levy is being paid. So all of those will also add on to how much you eventually are paying. Right? You may find that, okay, let's assume this figure does increase maybe with an additional 400,000. And now you've paid 2.6 million. The house is still worth 2.7 million. So essentially, even after, unintentionally trying to make money, because remember, from day one, even though you did not have 1.2 million, you were getting the benefit of a 1.2 million rand house. You didn't have 1.2 million, but you still got the value and the benefit of a 1.2 million rand house. I want you now to think about it the other way and use a car, for instance. A car, on the other hand, because it's a depreciating asset, that's where actually sometimes I feel like with the car loan, there is a full scam. Because you are taking a loan of, let's say your car is 1 million rand. You're buying a car over 6 years of 1 million rand, but when you are done paying, that car will never be worth what you have paid there. So you've got to start thinking about this. And that's why I tell people the mindset of a home loan needs to change. Yes, granted, over the years, it's going to feel painful. Over the years, it's going to feel like you're paying a lot of money. But if you start looking at what you are eventually going to get at the end, it is not something that a lot of us can pull our noses up at. You just can't. You just can't. And the beautiful thing is you can actually start getting the benefit even earlier than that with a home loan. Why do I say that? Because if you pay additional, because it's worked out over 20 years, even just a slight addition to your home loan is going to make a huge change. It's going to make a huge change. So even if you pay an additional 200 rand, 300 rand into your home loan, I promise you, because it's calculated over a huge amount or a longer loan, you will actually see the difference much, much bigger. And you will see it in the savings that you're going to make over and above. So a person like this, for instance, could have essentially saved quite a lot of interest. You may find that interest portion of 1 million can even be reduced to even like 700,000 rand in interest. Then when you calculate it with the 1.2 million, this person has paid 1.9 million in terms of their home. But the house's value does not change. Over 20 years, it will still be worth 2.76 million. So it is important to understand that a house is a property, it is an investment asset, and when you are paying a home loan, essentially, it is for yourself. One, you're getting the benefit of a property worth money that you don't have right now. And many of us don't have the luxury or the privilege to sit and actually try and save up for that money. So we're getting the privilege of that property at that price. Secondly, when the time you are done paying off that loan, which you can finish as quickly as you want, you do have control of how quickly you can actually pay off your loan. What you are going to find is that with that little bit of additional amount of money, there's a bigger saving that you're going to make in interest. But over 20 years, over 10 years, your house would appreciate in its value. I mean, after 15 years, your house is worth 2.3 million. After 10 years, your house is already worth 1.8 million. Or you bought a house at 1.2 million. And if you buy even well, and really, really well, in a space where we talk about location, these numbers, the growth of your house and the property prices of property in the space that you are buying at, can grow quite rapidly. I mean, think about homes when Waterfall started being Waterfall and what they're worth right now. That just shows you that there is still value in putting your money into property. How many people do you know who are multi-millionaires because of real estate, because of property? Let's not think badly about the home loan all the time. Let's try and find the best way to buy homes using finance, but building our wealth using property as an asset. Of course, now you know that I'm very biased towards property, so everything I say here, please take with a pinch of salt. And remember, if you are looking for financial advice, speak to somebody who is certified and registered with the FSCA to give you financial advice.